All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is so wonderful to be back here. I am live now from Houston, Texas. We were in Jerusalem. We spent a lovely 10 days in the holy city of Jerusalem, learning Torah, touring places of incredible inspiration. And it really was a very, very special 10 days. I want to share with you just one idea on this week's Parsha, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll continue to talk about our Israel experience. I just want you to know, just before we get to the Dvar Torah, is it's very easy to go places and tour. You can go to France, and you can go to Germany, and you can go to England, and you can go to Moscow. You can go to all these great places, and you can tour things. When you tour the land of Israel, it's a reunification of the soul, okay, the Jewish soul, the Jewish spirit, the neshama, and the person, and which is why many people get emotional when they get to Jerusalem. What's their emotional? You ever go to Buckingham Palace and get emotional? No, but nobody gets emotional there. You go to Jerusalem, you get emotional. Why? Because it's the reconnection of the soul with its origin. So I want to share with you a little thought on this week's Parsha. In this week's Parsha, we talk about the garments of the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen Gadol wore specific garments, very, very clearly defined what the Kohen was supposed to wear, and only the Kohen who was bringing offerings in the temple, was allowed to wear those garments. A Kohen who was not bringing those offerings, who was not serving in the temple, a regular, ordinary Kohen, had 4 vestments. A Kohen Gadol had 8 vestments. Now, our sages tell us that it is very important the clothes a person wears. Now we know, we wear clothes, right? Clothes that hopefully complement us. But our sages tell us that the way in which a person carries himself, is very, very important. Now, if a person walks around, they did a research in the old city of Jerusalem, where we were walking just a few days ago, just yesterday morning, actually. Yesterday morning, Scott and I davened at the Western Wall, at the Kotel. We davened, and then from there we left to the airport. It's really amazing. It's like at night we're in Houston, in the morning we were at the holiest place in the world. It's pretty incredible. So they did a research that people who walked around in certain types of clothes, like work type clothes, cars that were driving the very narrow streets in the old city, didn't have as much respect for those people. But at the minute people were wearing a suit and tie, they would slow down, they wouldn't honk, and they did this research for a long time. The clothes define you. The clothes that a person wears define who you are. The more a person dresses properly for something, the more they will hopefully live up to that. Now, it doesn't mean that if someone is a bank robber and they dress in a suit and tie, which many do, right? But sadly, that suddenly a person's not going to have that will. But the way in which a person dresses sets them up for a certain level of either success or lack thereof. The Torah tells us this through the clothes that a person wears. It's very important for us to understand that we create a certain expectation of ourselves by what we wear. If a person dresses themselves with a dignified manner, they will act in a dignified way. Now, clothes isn't only the actual stitchings that are on us. Clothes are also the way in which we speak. The way in which we speak has a very, very significant impact in how we act. If a person acts in a dignified way, they speak in a dignified way, right? Then it follows them. Remember, there was an individual that was a CEO of a company, and we were talking about the power of words and how we need to speak in a way that is proper and appropriate. And he says to me, how am I? I said, listen, you're a great guy, right? You dress your part as fulfilling your role, but perhaps maybe the way in which you speak, there are certain words that shouldn't be said. Especially as being a leader, especially as being someone who has influence on other people, right? We have to be very, very careful. Every Jew is tasked with the responsibility of carrying themselves as a servant of Hashem. And as such, we have to carry ourselves with a certain dignity. And that's one of the things I wanted to just bring out from this week's Parsha, that the Kohen wore, because of his status, because of his stature in the temple, bringing offerings, being a representative of the people, he needed to dress in a certain way that was appropriate for him. Hashem should bless us all, that we should all successfully understand our role and understand the status with which we need to hold, with the dignity that we need to carry ourselves with. And Hashem should bless us all with tremendous success and an amazing Shabbos. Thank you, my friends.